It's Howdy Doody time. It's Howdy Doody time. Bob Smith and Howdy too. Say howdy do.
Make a small rounded area when I curve it, I think. Yeah. How am I going to do that? A lot of things happen in my head. Well, you won't go into everything, but not me. I just lay it all out for you. Honesty, and actually those other guys are kind of smart by just, looking like they can hit it right on the nose. Oh well. I haven't done a fishing lure in quite a while, and I've had an idea, and I've seen some sort of like it, but I've had an idea for one for a long time, that is one where the texture is done completely out of wood so that there's no painting to it. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. As I've been thinking about it over the last several days, it started off really simple, and it's become more and more complex in my mind. And I don't know if I should do one that is, as elaborate in my head as I think it is. But I'm going to give it a shot, and if it works out, you'll see this. If not, you won't even know I said this. So, we'll start off, I want something a little bit bigger to work with, but then again, where I fish, I can't make it too big. So we'll do a 5-inch lure, which is about as big as I ever make. And then we will go from there. Kind of a standard shape. I want it a little big up here, and I don't want it to curve. I mean, I've made some lures that are kind of curved and arched, but I think this is going to be difficult enough that I need to keep it sort of straight. I know that doesn't tell you much, but you'll see it. It's going to be layers of wood. I'm going to keep it simple initially and have 3 laminates put together this way. A dark one in the middle and 2 lighter ones, I think. I got to find some wood that fits that bill. So here's the woods I've come up with. I've got this piece of ebony because I want a really dark wood for the center. And I know it's not wide enough, but I don't need it wide because I'm going to laminate it. So I have that. And for a contrasting wood that's light colored, I have this yellow birch. I could use maple, which would be even whiter, but I'm trying to keep the weight down a little bit. This thing's going to be heavy. I have some mahogany for contrast. I don't know how many of these I'm going to use, but I'm going to mix it up a little bit and try to get some color in this thing. I've got all of these pieces cut. Now I got to put them through the planer to try to get them smoothed out a little bit and get the middle ones the same thickness. Okay, this is what we've got so far. An outside, another layer. This is the top center. This is the bottom center. This is the next outer layer, and this is the very outer layer. We've got this. But I want to do one more thing. I want to add another piece of wood right in here. This is going to be the nose. I want to add another piece of wood so it'll be a different color under the chin, I think. Yeah. How am I going to do that? If I cut them at a 45-degree angle and put them together, when I carve it, it should carve a parabolic shape. I know that doesn't make any sense, but let's see. So here's the front of the lure, and if I were to cut this off like this and add a piece here, it should make a parabolic shape, I think. Sure, why not? Let's try it. Okay, so this will go in here like this. This will be the center back, which will be black. And this will be the chin. So when that's carved kind of round, that should make kind of a parabola in there. And then this with the other side, and of course these will go on both sides on the outside of that and hopefully make a small rounded area when I curve it, I think. I think it's time to glue this sandwich up, but it'll take a couple hours to dry. So. Put a couple of clamps on the top to make sure this is properly clamped, the part that's sticking out. Now, I'll have to wait for that to dry, so I'll come back later. It's a couple of hours later, and I've been in the house pondering whether I should do the next step or not. I've decided I'm going to do it, but it's one of those things where, you know, I could end up with a clownfish or maybe no fish. I don't really know what I'm going to end up with anyway. Here's the glued up block of fish, laminated fish. What I want to do is put a lateral line down the middle. And in order to do that, I need to cut this straight down, 2 pieces, and glue a laminated piece in between to make like a stripe, a lateral line. Taking this that I've made and just cutting it in half. And this isn't the last glue up either. I'll have one more, at least. So this is the cut I made for the lateral line. This will go right into here, and this will go right there, and that will go like that, and then this whole thing will be glued up. I don't know if the black lateral line will be a bit much, but it'll be dramatic. I wanted to rough cut this shape because I want to taper the sides because I have another glue up to do. And I wanted to do that before the glue up, because the glue up have to do with the gill plates. I pre-made a sandwich of 3 pieces of wood for the gill plates. The first one on the top here is black ebony, and then is some rosewood, which is a little bit darker wood than the ebony, and of course the lighter yellow birch on the other side. Okay, easy to line up as I have stripes of wood here, about halfway between these white pieces, and then I will come back about this far across here. And I do want to keep the nose a little bit thicker and rounded to give it a little bit better action. I'll be taking some off all around it anyway. The sides of this have to come down. That mahogany on the sides is a little bit too thick. What I've done is I've made 2 wedges with that wood. I've sanded it down, and I've got a gill plate sketched on it. And some of these dark areas will start showing through as the other stuff gets taken off and look like a black edged whitish gill. That's the plan. Now these can be left kind of rough, but I'm going to clean the edges up a little bit because they're going to be all sanded down after they're glued onto the bait, so they don't have to be real smooth. Well, this should be an interesting glue job. They're little tiny pieces. Well, the wood glue has proven to be a challenge trying to clamp it because it's on an angle. So I went with instead the 5-minute epoxy, and hopefully that will work out. It still looks kind of like a weird thing to me, but we'll see. Well, it's the next morning. Actually, it's 2 mornings later. I had to do my leaves the other day. It's fall. I was thinking, a lot of things happen in my head. Well, you won't go into everything, but something like this, and I see what's going to happen in my head, but it doesn't always happen that way in reality. But I'm going to start carving this, or actually doing a lot of sanding on it to take it down, and I'm hoping that a fish will come out of it, or a lure will come out of it. Okay, I'll stop there for a second and show you that I've taken down some stuff, but not much. So after a marathon grinding and sanding session, came up with something a little strange. Here it is. Let me grab it by the tail here. Now I need to think about eyes and weight for the bottom and the lip. This is going to be one strange lure. The eyes will go right there, which is bizarre looking. I do know that if I were to do this again, see where the gills are? What I would do is I would put very, very thin layer of black and a much thicker layer of white when I made the gills. But it is what it is right now, so we're just gonna roll with it. weighting this thing, there's the little cross right on there. That's just forward of the center of gravity, which is the way I want it. So I think I'll drill probably 2 holes. I'll do them both full of lead, and then I'll seal the bait, and then I'll put it in water and see what it does. And I can always drill out some of the lead if it sinks too much. I drilled these deep, so there's quite a bit of lead in there. But I left a lot of space because now just to make 2 more. Well, I've got the lure sanded down to about 100 grit, and you know, because you could go down to about maybe 240, but my smoothing out of choice is something that I use in regular woodworking. It's not used too much. Glass. Glass makes a great scraper, and scraping has the ability to take out a lot of scratches. And one added advantage of scraping a lure with any type of scraper, you know, metal or glass, is that when you're working with 2 distinctly different colored woods, like this black ebony and this white birch, when you sand, the black ebony dust, which is very fine, tends to fill the pores of the whiter wood. And it always just ends up looking dirty all the time. When you scrape, the wood comes off in curls, not dust. So it does a better job that way. So the next thing to do is to seal this, and then I have not plugged the holes yet because I don't know if there's too much lead in here or not. It's pretty heavy, but it's a pretty buoyant lure also. So I am going to seal it and then put it in water and see how it floats before I finish it up. And I do not feel like waiting for this to dry, the sealer, so I'm going to seal it with super glue, which does a really good job. You got to sand it a little bit afterwards though. I think there may be too much weight in there. What do you think? So, I took out a lot of the lead and just right. I'll put a couple of hooks on it to make sure that it's still, you know, doing what I want and not sinking too much, but the lure's heavy enough that I don't think the hook's going to matter that much. Now, other YouTubers would get it just right and then put it in the water and say, haha, I hit it right on the nose. But not me. I just lay it all out for you about how, you know, what poor judgment I have as far as weighting is concerned. So there you have it. Honesty. And actually those other guys are kind of smart by just, you know, looking like they can hit it right on the nose. Oh well. You're about to see that I'm not much of a fly tyer. I'm tying a small trailer hook to put on the back of this lure while some of the stuff dries on it. Yeah, I'm a really bad fly tyer. I actually don't do a whole lot of things that great. I did make a couple of nice kits. Well, my wife made them. You know what I mean. Well, there it is. Every time I tie a fly, I think it looks like a rat. But once you get it in the water, it looks a little bit better. Maybe I should trim it down a little bit. No, I think I'll leave it. Made some eyes for a previous lure quite a while ago, and I looked at them and they look like they might just fit. Howdy Doody. And while I'm here, I put the 2 plugs in the bottom. They're end grain wood, so they didn't come out as white as I wanted, but they're on the bottom. They'll be fine. Glued them in. I think we're ready to clear coat. I've taken the UV resin, and it's a little cool out here, so I heated it up with a hairdryer. Well, I'll put this to hang for a while to let it drip or let it settle, and then I'll put it in the chamber. And turn it on for 30 minutes. The cover on. And the fan. I don't think you can see it too good because it's the same color as the water. It has a very subtle wave to it, not much at all. The verdict is, it pretty much sucks. It is a little bit heavy. It needs a larger lip. It needs less mass in wood and more mass in the belly weight. But collectively, it needs to be able to float more. It does float now, but it's just barely buoyant. The action is very subtle, and when I pull it in fast, it tends to pull towards one side, towards my right. So, it was interesting, but I won't be fishing it, I don't think. I think I need to make something a little more conventional, but I still like the idea of the wood, the just raw finished wood like this. I'm gonna try it again.